Tonight on PhillyCAM Voices, we have a segment featuring Sean Gibbons, founder and owner of Homeworks, and an in-studio interview with PA historical exoneree Vincent Moto, Herndon Steele, and civil rights attorney Keir Bradford Gray. I'm your host, Christian Lee.
You don't want to miss this one.
Meet Sean Gibbons, founder and owner of Homeworks, your one-stop shop for all things home and wellness. Sean is a longtime business owner with an affinity for women empowerment and community. As a matter of fact, Sean credits most of her success to all of the powerful women who have uplifted and supported her in her entrepreneurial journey, some of whom she still works with. Sean further credits her husband for being her rock. Homeworks is a Black-owned home goods store in Chestnut Hill that is a place for not just shopping, but comfort and relaxation. Let's learn more about Sean and her home away from home.
Homeworks is an extension of a business that I have been at the helm of for the last 16 years. And I went and started this business and really kind of found out that there was a void for people like me, who look like me, women for sure, women of color really for sure. And I started that business and then ran it up until 2021. And that's when my husband and I left Center City, moved in this direction. But also our team everybody was sequestered and we didn't have access to an office. So I purchased this building thinking this would be my team's new office space. And then nobody wanted to go back to work. Nobody could go back to work. And so we were like, well, we're a bunch of creative people. And we have designers and we have marketers and social media experts, and we need something to do. And I was like, oh, let's start a retail operation where our focus is on residential office and ergonomics and helping people to work in a way that is more beneficial and supportive of them at home.
Hi, my name is Sarah Camp, and I am the Director of Client Experience here at Homeworks Well. What that means is that I co-curate and buy for the space along with the owner, Sean Gibbons. So we work just really closely on kind of developing the whole vibe and curation of the store, the garden, and the carriage house. So we have a lot of common aesthetics and kind of sensibilities, but we also have kind of our own unique view where I'm a little bit more pared back, where she might be a little bit more maximalist when it comes to things. So we kind of have a really nice balance where we work off of each other, and I think that we've found a really great sort of rhythm with what we're doing here at the store. The approach is just kind of, we look at how we design our own homes or how we want to live, what makes us feel comfortable and happy and living well, and just kind of bring that into the space.
Sometimes God speaks to you and he's like, be still, be still. He picked me up, turned me around, had this man, my husband, say to me, what you need to focus on is your design sensibility. People have always been drawn to what you like. If you like it, people love it. Start to curate the store in ways that if you would want it in our house, then you should purchase it for your store. That hill has such a historical importance. I remember as a little girl, my mother bringing me here to shop and to lunch and whatnot. And so we are sandwiched between two businesses that are pillar businesses of the community. But then we have all these other new businesses that have come in just since we've been here. Yolanda was the first with foliage, and then we have Janine here with No Name Gallery, and then we have the yoga studio here, and then we have another business, Dr. Gina Charles, with with serenity. And we have all of these businesses, and we support each other. We try to work together when we can. But even this year, I am definitely more intentional about finding those dots and connecting them, not just on this block, but starting here as our nucleus and then working up and down the hill so that we all figure out ways to support each other. This year, I'm going to be more intentional about using our voice and then trying to seek out resources. What's so special about this evening is that by doing the Clay Culture launch, we really got to speak to the global nature of our curation. And so we have products that are literally from everywhere. This is really just a celebration of all the different artisans that we have access to now through a global network, and we're celebrating that. Like, we are very intentional about engaging people on not just a superficial sales level, but in a way that we know you, you know us, you come back time and time again, and you become like a part of, like integrated into our community. My name is Sean Gibbons, and this is Homeworks. Here we are in Chestnut Hill, 8129 Germantown Avenue. Come visit us.
Pennsylvania is one of 11 states without a compensation bill for exonorees. Reporter Chinchilla Jonicia interviews PA historical exoneree Vincent Moto, Herndon Steele, who gained his freedom on March 13th of this year, and Keir Bradford Gray on the importance of holding Pennsylvania accountable and urgency to right the wrong. Welcome to the studio.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Chinchilla Jonicia, the Queen of Justice, and sitting with me now, I have three esteemed guests. Vincent Moto, who is Pennsylvania's historical exoneree, being the first man to be exonerated through the use of DNA in 1996, and that's why he's historical. Next to Vincent is Herndon Steele. Herndon just gained his freedom March 13th of this year, and after 38 and a half years of being wrongfully incarcerated, Herndon is now a free man. Next to Herndon is Keir Bradford Gray, who is the civil rights attorney and the chief litigator for civil rights at the Marone Law Firm. Welcome to my guest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, today we're going to talk about wrongful convictions, because wrongful convictions happen every single day in this country. It's very prevalent, it's unfair, it's unjust, and we're looking for Pennsylvania to right the wrong in so many cases. Here we have a district attorney, Larry Krasner, who's a progressive district attorney who has seen the need to overturn many wrongful convictions. And today we have Vincent Moto. However, D.A. Krasner was not in office when Vincent Moto was exonerated. It took Vincent Moto 10 and a half years to prove his innocence after being wrongfully convicted of a rape that he did not commit. And with that, unfortunately, the man that did commit the rape was still out on the streets committing more rapes, while Vincent was in prison for a rape he did not commit. So we're going to speak with Vincent Moto first today, because Vincent has been out the longest out of any of the exonerees here in Pennsylvania. And since he's been out, he has been fighting for a compensation bill. And as Christian said in the opening, Pennsylvania is one of 11 states that do not compensate. As a matter of fact, we might now be one of 10, because Delaware, they have even now passed a compensation bill. Pennsylvania has not. And when they're let out, these men, these exonerees, and even women exonerees, when they're let out of prison, they come out with absolutely nothing, whereas people that did commit a crime and they've done their time, they come out paroled, on probation, they get re-entry services, they get medical, they get housing, they even get stipends, they even get transportation money to catch the bus and the trains and all of that stuff, and they get job training and all types of services, whereas men that did not commit a crime, they get absolutely nothing but a pat on the back, and they're told, be glad you're free. So Vincent, let's talk about that. When you were exonerated back in 1996 and released from prison, what was that day like for you?
The day, thank you, first of all, Dr. Nichola. That day was a memorable day, an unforgiving day, a grateful day, a happy day, a sad day. It was just so much that was going through my mind at that time. And my parents, you know, my dad, rest in peace, he's not here with us anymore. But my mom, she was an angel that the Creator sent down to me. She was always in my corner. Their support was always there for me. And they spent over maybe $140,000, $50,000 helping me throughout the year, not just on legal fees, but everything else. You know, I didn't have any money. I wasn't working, so they didn't want me asking for anything while I was in prison, so they provided as if I am their child, but as if I was a child, you know. And years went on, and years went on, and time went on, and, you know, a lot of things had changed, and they used all their resources up financially. This was money for them to you know, retire on, for them to live the rest of their lives that they worked so hard serving here in the United States, you know, living their lives. And unfortunately, they didn't have that opportunity. That money had to go to their son, which they knew, and lawyer fees and everything else, which they knew was innocent from the beginning. You know, this was told from the beginning that, you know, and, you know, I look forward when I got out that I thought, you know, how the judicial system would, you know, do the right thing now that they found I was innocent, compensate me, you know, compensate my parents for the money that they spent. And unfortunately, I received nothing. I was just let out of prison, as you said, and you could go home. And so it was all kinds of thoughts going through my mind at that time. I went to see State Representative Hal James, who was state rep at that time in my area, and we introduced two bills, House Bill 2021 and House Bill 2022, in hope to get compensation, because we were told that there wasn't no compensation bill in Pennsylvania. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, that's crazy, you know. So we went on, and eventually nothing happened. Okay. The bill just ended up just sitting,
and that happens quite often when bills, they may be introduced, and then what happens is they're tabled and they just sit. But the procedure is once they're introduced, usually it'll go to the judiciary, and then the judiciary decides if it's going to go to a floor for a vote. And then if it's voted and it passes the House, if it's introduced by a state rep, it passes the House. Then after it passes the House, then it goes to the Senate, and they have to vote on it. If it passes the Senate, then it goes to the governor to sign.
All right, but I've seen so many other bills just get passed so fast.
Yeah.
And under these circumstances, conditions, I know you're telling the whole procedure how that goes, but my point is that you wrongfully incarcerate a man, and you have others, such as myself, that are wrongfully incarcerated. And, you know, it's sad that they don't have anything in play. Like you were saying, I could commit a crime, I get out, I get a job, yes. I get free counseling, I get free services, I get home services. Yeah. And this is insane. How
yes.
is it the opposite? That this man is wrongfully incarcerated, I'm wrongfully incarcerated. When I get home, you give me nothing, but a guy that commits a crime, you compensate this guy in a sense. You give him housing, you give him one of the guys I know that committed a crime that was locked up with me. I come home, he works for the city. He's driving a truck making $22 an hour, and I'm sitting home broke trying to find a way to get a job. They never expunged my record, so I still had a record.
Right.
So meanwhile, I'm fighting. I have children. I'm trying to amend back with my family. I have nothing. My children are teenagers now. I've been down so long. My children are teenagers. They're on their way to high school.
Okay,
They're on their way to college.
Once you were exonerated,
yes.
That's where they were at that time.
Absolutely. You know, and the fact that I couldn't do anything for them. I mean, I could barely get a job myself because this was still on my record because they never expunged my record. So every time I went to go for a job, oh man, you were locked up for rape, or you was this and this and that. Well, sir, we can't, you know, we don't want to take that chance on this. And I had a degree. I have a degree, business management, specialized in accounting, 4.0. I graduated with honors and dean's lists, you know, and I still couldn't even get a job. I had to end up getting self-employment, working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. Then eventually I started getting burned out. At times it just started getting so overwhelming because my life, I'm going to counseling because all that I've been through, I ended up with
PTSD.
post-traumatic stress. They end up putting me out on disability. Still, I'm still fighting, trying to get a compensation bill. You know, look, at least compensate my mom and them for, you know, for something. You gave me nothing. They're giving us nothing. It's so
nothing.
mandatory that we have a compensation bill. And I've been fighting this 29 years. And that's sad that out of 29 years, I don't know how many bills have been passed, introduced.
Lots of bills have been
and
passed
nothing is, but I
in
done
the
seen all
state.
kinds of other bills passed.
Yes.
Stupid bills, dumb bills,
Yeah.
bills on set. And they're compensating people. The lady at McDonald's burned her leg. She got $22 million at McDonald's because the coffee was too hot. That's
Yes.
ridiculous. It has to be a bill passed or something there for her to get that kind of money.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad.
Yeah.
And this
And
is going
Vincent,
on.
You're absolutely right. Many bills go through the House and the Senate on a weekly basis that get passed. But something as meaningful and as necessary, the urgency of a compensation bill for exonerees should be at the top of their list.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, the state of Pennsylvania doesn't see it that same way, but they must be held accountable. And it all plays into accountability. And so many states, they don't want to be held accountable for that, but they have to. And
Well, they were accepting the fame
Pennsylvania-
and fortune when they were putting us behind bars,
Yes.
saying you did it. Now you found out we didn't commit the crime, and then you don't want
Right.
to compensate. You don't want to give us
Yeah.
anything.
But right now, there has been several compensation bills introduced now after going back and forth to Harrisburg year after year. Finally, in 2021, there was a first compensation bill that was introduced, and actually, you attended the
2794, right?
No, 1205 was the first House bill introduced by State Representative Regina Young, and that was back then. Since then, the bill has been amended to House Bill 1470, then House Bill 2471, and House Bill 587. Also, Senator Vincent Hughes introduced the exact same bill, and State Representative Christopher Robb actually also introduced a different bill. And now, so what the thing is in our state government, it's a matter of basically having a bipartisan bill. Okay, so we need bipartisan representatives. That means Republicans and Democrats actually co-sponsoring bills. Because what has happened, a lot of the Republicans, they were adamant they didn't want to see the bill go forth. So we need, for them to sign onto a bill in
That's
order for it
sad.
to be passed. Now with Herndon, welcome home, first of all. After 38 and a half years of being wrongfully behind bars, we're glad that you're free, okay? And so now, Herndon, what are your thoughts on an exoneration bill? Why Pennsylvania doesn't have one? What is the need for that, in your words?
The need, when guys come home after serving decades in prison, some guys are coming home to absolutely nothing. A lot of guys, when you spend 30, 40, 50 years in prison, your family members are dead. You coming home to nieces and great nieces and little cousins who don't even know you. So they don't really welcome you into their home, right? And so if a guy comes home, he doesn't have anything, he's not compensated in no kind of way, he's forced to commit crime. Let's just call it what it is. Some guys are forced to do that, right? And so because of that, I think it's a great need that guys that's getting exonerated, and even guys that's forced to plead guilty to crimes like I was, to crimes that they didn't commit, I think there should be some type of compensation.
Yes.
Some type of compensation.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to talk about that because Herndon just said something very key. Right now, for people to get exonerated, men and women behind the bars wrongfully for decades, now they're not exonerating them. They're not calling it an exoneration. They're having them take a plea deal in order to get out and be with their family that same day. And that's unfortunate, and we're going to talk to Keir Bradford Gray concerning that. And before we go to care, we're going to now mention the fact with Pennsylvania, everybody. As I said, we're one of 11 states that do not compensate. The bills that they have introduced now, they're still going back and forth with the monetary amount. Right now, they have a bill that's offering $100,000 per year of wrongful incarceration for those on death row, $75,000 per year for those that were just wrongfully incarcerated, and so on and so forth. However, to me, that is very low, and I'm going to tell you why. Washington, D.C., they have a compensation package for exonerees. They're giving them $200,000 per year of wrongful incarceration. Texas has the best, in my opinion, with $80,000 per year of wrongful incarceration, and on top of that, they receive an $80,000 annuity for the rest of their lives. And that's something that I think every exoneree should get, because their lives have been ruined. Their families have been torn apart. And for men such as Herndon Steele, who had to cop a plea in order to get out and gain his freedom, is just such a disservice. So let's talk to civil rights attorney Keir Bradford Gray. What are your thoughts on that, Keir?
Well, I think it's wrong to deny justice to people who are obviously innocent, just because we know that there are a lot of challenges proving their innocence. And not just because of the substance of their innocence, but mainly because of the process. Many people are, once they even figure out what the heck happened to them, now they're barred by the time barring from bringing that information. So they can realize, wait a minute, my lawyer should have done this, or my lawyer should have done that. And let's be real. A lot of these wrongful convictions are not just the prosecution and the police, but it's also incompetent defense counsel that did not push for a fair trial or know what due process looked like. So we got to make sure we deal with that too, because we can't blame everybody else and leave the defense attorney who didn't follow up on things that should have been followed up on alone. We all have a part to play. But I do want to say something about compensation bills versus what you were talking about, lawsuits, right? Look, I think there's compensation bills that need to go on, because right now what we're dealing with is there's a scarcity of lawyers that can take on these civil suits. These civil suits are very intensive, and they can last years.
Yes.
And I don't know what she put. Okay, they can last years. But when you have a compensation package, you're acknowledging that people deserve this as a matter of right.
Yes.
And yes, I agree Texas has something good, but let's not be fooled. Texas only lets out maybe about 2 or 3 people per decade, so it's good to have something great when you're only exonerating 2 people a decade. But we are now seeing us righting the wrongs of the past. We have to atone for what we did to people, and we have to atone for the blind eye that we have turned to all the corruption and the culture that led to these things. We still have people who are wrongfully convicted today,
Oh, yes.
but the types of things that we saw back when these 2 gentlemen were going through this system were ridiculously egregious, and people were
Yes.
emboldened because no one questioned anyone. We're in a new day, but we still need to be vigilant,
yeah.
but we really, really need to make sure that these are victims.
Yes, they
And
are.
we can't let that word not fall on them.
Yes.
Because they deserve the same protections of the law as anyone else does.
Yes, they do, and they're definitely victims. And Mr. Moto, definitely a victim. The man walked after they found the actual perpetrator. They allowed the statute of limitations to run out before they introduced it and turned it over to the DA. And so that man never was prosecuted for the crime. And so that's really upsetting, Mr. Moto, I'm sure.
Double victim. I was a double victim, And not only that, the woman that still that accused me of this crime, she still hasn't received justice because they have the wrong guy. Then the guy that they did find, they let him go after I put my DNA in the data bank. They let this guy go because they said the statute of limitation ran out. 1 year statute, that's sad.
It's
Isn't it?
very sad.
That's sad.
Very sad. And so, Kier, yeah, I'm sure Mr. Moto would like to talk to you afterwards, find out,
See,
if
that's the
there's any
problem.
remedies for that. How do you remedy that?
See, most lawyers you only have 2 years to bring a lawsuit for when you were wrongfully convicted or
Yeah.
victimized.
Right.
And so, again, Vince, your case is too far for a lawyer to help you.
And this just happened, like 2017, 18 again, like 10 years later from my case. Isn't that sad?
It's very sad,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
think this is where I don't think you were doubly taxed, but we all are penalized, right? I mean, think about it. I'm living under a false sense of security, thinking that you're getting the right people behind bars, but now I'm paying my tax dollars for you to house him, where he's got children and a family that they need him, and the real person's still out there to be in my neighborhood to possibly victimize me or my daughter.
Wow.
I don't think it's right, and I think we need to demand more for our tax dollars.
Definitely. Wow. I thank all three of you for being my guests here on PhillyCAM Voices. Thank you so much, Kier Bradford Gray, Herndon Steele,
Thank you for having me.
Pennsylvania Historical
Thank you for
Exoneree
having us.
Vincent Moto.
Yes.
And for those of you watching, if you would like to find out more about wrongful convictions and exonerations and compensation for exonerees, please reach out to Right the Wrong Coalition. Their number is 844-642-8378. I'm Dr. Chinchilla Jonicia.
All right.
Thank you, Chinchilla. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And you can also watch our show on YouTube and Roku, and follow us on @PhillyCam on Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you next time.